Hi, my name is Abby Williams, and welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of Magic in the Moment, my podcast, where I reflect on what I notice and observe. This is the first episode of this podcast that is also being filmed for my YouTube channel, Miss Oblivia. If you want to go check it out, that's MSABLIVIA, Miss Abby Olivia, strung together. If you're watching on YouTube, you can tune in to the first season of the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Go give it a listen. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But let's get into it. So, I left New York City. And it's kind of funny because at the beginning of season 1, I had just moved to New York City. I had been there for about 3 months when I started recording the podcast. And now I've left. I moved back to Arkansas, which I go into a whole lot of detail about where I've lived in the first episode of season 1. But I lived in Arkansas for a long time. Now I'm back. To give you a clear picture of where my mind was at, what I was feeling, and what drove me to make this decision, I'm actually just going to read to you a journal entry from December 7th of 2024. So brace yourself, because this is not for the faint of heart. Trigger warning for suicide, depression, and yeah, I think that covers it. I was thinking about suicide more and more last night. This existence feels like one giant trap. How did I get caught in this commercialized, monetized dimension? Why couldn't I end up somewhere where organisms just exist to breathe and feel the connection between their eyes? It's a joke. Why are things this way? Of course, I'd never see my family again, and I'm so close to seeing them now. Suicide is the one crime you can get away with. I know what it's like to murder someone. Guess I've never really been pro-murder, though. Kind of contradicts my sense of morality. But killing myself is kind of like saying fuck you to all of that. Yeah, but I do like that bullshit. I like a lot of bullshit that isn't centered around buying stuff. Well, the roots of it, I guess. Like dance, the sun, the stars, the blue sky, the wind. I like walking and running and swimming and lying on the beach and eating. I like yoga and photography and film. I like thinking. I like thinking a lot. But recently, I feel like I've been thinking inside a dumpster. Maybe even a sewer. I could seriously use a brain transplant. I've gotten to a point where I feel like I can't get better. Like I've already set a new standard of behavior for myself. And now if I start acting happy again, it'll be so embarrassing. I hate feeling like I'm on display, like this outside pressure crumbles me. I feel drained. My soul disintegrated into oblivion. My heart locked away in some dungeon. I'm scared to have a good day now. I've thrown away my chances at a good life, a great life even. Now all that's left for me is to throw in the towel, move home, forget I ever had ginormous dreams. You know what? I've already killed myself. Abby Williams doesn't even run my life anymore. That's not fair. I'm still Abby. But I have changed, and a lot of other stuff. There's so much I want to do, so why am I not doing it, goddammit? People are fighting for their lives, just trying to hold on with nothing. And I'm ready to give up? If I could figure out how to make it look like an accident, it wouldn't be as bad. I think my family knowing I killed myself would be too much. But if I just didn't see that bus when I was crossing the street, that could be a different story. I want to gut myself. Maybe I just need to get beat up. Or maybe I need a massage. Perhaps a hike in the mountains or a voyage where I get lost at sea would do me some good. I don't know what I want anymore. Actually, all I want to do is work at a theater. I want to do load-ins and load-outs, make props, work backstage, click buttons to make lights turn on, sing, dance, act, whatever Whatever puts me in a place where a big platform is concealed by giant pieces of fabric that someone hoists up with ropes to reveal a myriad of playing and storytelling. Maybe if I die, I'll never have to deal with the fact that I destroyed myself so I wouldn't get to that dream. I'm really scared of what might happen on the other side. Maybe I'll meet someone who will reprimand me for giving up and punish me by making me come back in my damaged body. Or maybe I'll just start over, as Abby or someone completely different. As if I haven't started over 13 billion times already. If I am playing a game, and this is where I've gotten stuck before and killed myself, then what can I notice differently this time? If that is the case, then there's no getting out. Maybe when I die, when I'm old. Maybe if I win the game. I'm speculating on quite literally no evidence at all that this is true, but the what if is big. I don't want to get punished. But maybe that's exactly what they want us to be afraid of. Don't relieve yourself of this life you didn't ask for, because on the other side, you'll pay for it. I think it's less about the other side and more about this one. I may not personally be punished, but everyone around me will feel like they are. And they are just different aspects of me, right? But of course, I've got to believe that crap. Conscious awareness is a curse. 2024 can suck my dick. God, I wish I had a dick. That way, if I had one, when I said suck my dick, it would really mean something. So, I hope that was enlightening. That was a constant mental cycle for me for 2-3 months. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I could not take it anymore. I was miserable. I have actually never felt that much pain on a day-to-day basis. And getting to the point where doing the simplest tasks became daunting and so strenuous to my spirit. I felt like paralyzed. Like I didn't even want to move. The pit in my stomach had fallen so deep, and the anxiety was taking over my entire chest. I was at the end. I was at the end of who I could be right then. And living in New York is the shit. It's cool. But is it really that cool? If I want to kill myself? I didn't think so. And I thought, I have got to save myself from this turmoil. I have got to save myself from this misery. I cannot achieve anything I want to do or be who I want to be if I have made it this low. It was a really difficult decision to make because the place I was in is not the most ideal place to be making extreme life choices. But I knew I had to do something. I knew I could not continue on in the situation I was in. And every day I missed my family terribly. And I just needed to ease up. I needed to ease up on life. I needed to ease up on myself and breathe. I needed to fucking breathe. I felt like I was being suffocated. So a couple weeks ago, I bought a carton of milk that was a day or two past its sell date. I didn't realize that until I had gotten home. And I taste tested it every day before I drank any, and it lasted for like 2 weeks. I was appalled because back in New York, I could buy a carton of milk with a due date that was 2 weeks away, and it would last maybe 4 or 5 days. It spoiled so quickly. And the reason for this is because our fridge in New York is actually not that cold. And I suppose the fridge here is significantly colder, cold enough to keep the milk fresh. This translated into a lesson for me when I was realizing this, that no matter how fresh the milk was, the circumstances that it was in didn't support its sustainability. That the circumstances actually supported it spoiling quicker. This resonated with me in regards to my own life, that these circumstances that I put myself in didn't support my sustainability in New York. And instead of finding a colder fridge, I stayed in the lukewarm one. This analogy made so much more sense when I realized it for myself. Saying it now, I feel like it's not as... You know what? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. The analogy is fine. Leave it in. It's great. You're great. Stop with the self-doubt. So, right. Being home is great. It's not perfect. Definitely not yet. I am struggling in new ways. But I was unemployed all of January, and golly, if you've been unemployed, isn't it just fabulous? It is so lovely to actually spend time doing things that you feel like doing. I don't remember the last time I studied this much. I have been reading, I have been writing, I have been studying Spanish, and my cup just feels so full. You know, I think it's so easy when you work yourself to death, you're exhausted, and then you ride the 45-minute train ride home, and you're like, I cannot comprehend even doing anything remotely productive or valuable with my time right now. And don't get me wrong, my mental and emotional health had a lot to do with that. I think obviously the happier you are, the easier it is to push yourself to do more, to make time for the things that are actually going to make you happier and fill your cup. For me, obviously, I was already on the decline. There was no making use of my time. It was go to work, come home, sometimes watch TV for 7 or 8 hours. Like, I was cooked, wasted, absolutely obliterated. There was no way I was going to do any of that crap. So it's been really refreshing to work on myself and learn and grow again. Unfortunately, gotta make money, and I'm having a sort of complicated time with the job that I'm getting. So I temporarily got a job at Domino's, which it's a perfectly fine job. There's nothing wrong with it other than the fact that it doesn't really pay that much. And I mean, it's working in fast food. But I used to work at Crumble, and it's basically working at Crumble but with pizza instead of cookies. And almost everyone has a penis. So that's great. Oh, but I feel spoiled. I feel spoiled having been home so much and getting to practically just relax, and now going back to work is a bit of a shock, and also just a reminder of part of what was making my life so difficult. But it's necessary, and I am doing it, and I'm dealing with it, and we are moving forward. A lot of my time has been spent reflecting and really trying to redefine who I am, what I want, what I value, and how I define success. What do I really want out of my life, at least right now? Because it's allowed to change because I'm going to change over time. But right now, right? Like the lamenting in that journal entry was really rooted in not having any purpose, in feeling so confused, by having too many options, by being absolutely in a chokehold of existentialism and not knowing how to get out. So I still don't really know how to get out, but I'm doing what I can. And again, that's reevaluating my values, reevaluating what makes me happy, what I feel like I want at the core of my being, right? I know that I want to do theater. I know that I want to make art in whatever capacity that is, whatever it looks like, whether I'm getting paid or not. I need to be in the theater. And I also know that I want to do this. I love talking. I love speaking my truth. I love speaking about my experience and what I've been through and what I'm currently going through. And that's why I'm doing it. So I'm taking steps to move towards a happier version of myself. And it's scary and it's hard. And I still do not feel... Oh, what the fuck was that? I still don't feel 100% myself. I want to say I feel maybe 80% myself. Like that 20% that's my smiles and my sunshine and my... You know what? 80% might be too high. I don't know. I'm just not there yet. I'm not to the point where I'm dancing in the streets again. Not to the point where I walk in and people are like, wow, you're a ray of sunshine. Like, I'm pretty melancholy at the moment. But let's talk about some of the magic about coming home to a suburbia compared to living in the city. There are little things that have caught me by surprise, just how much I missed them or how much I conditioned myself to not expect certain things. So this is so silly, but I needed to cut my toenails and I was like, oh great, instead of cutting them in the bathroom where I'll have to sweep them up, I'll just go outside. And I sat outside and cut my toenails and it was marvelous, okay? I just threw them in the grass. They're just out in the grass, okay? But I could never cut my toenails outside in the city. I thought about it a few times, going out on my fire escape and cut my toenails, and I thought that is just rude. I'm not gonna do that. So I never did that. I always had to sweep them up. Small thing, but honestly, it brought me a sense of magic. It made me feel appreciative for something very small that I get to have again now. Another instance was going to take out the garbage, and the garbage man was actually picking up right as I was going. And he had closed the door on the dumpster, and I couldn't find it. And he got out of his truck to help me. And I was like, I'm so sorry, like, so apologetic. Like, I didn't want to bother him because I was expecting him to be upset at me, for him to be done with me. And he surprised me by actually being very kind. And he smiled at me and we both said, have a nice day. And walking away, I thought, I did not even live in New York for that long. Seriously, like a year and a half is such baby New York. Like, I can't say shit. But it is just funny to me that only a year and a half in New York conditioned me to expect service and people who've got to do what we've got to do just to be rude to me and just to, be upset generally, have more of a stone cold composure. So that was really nice. That was a really lovely moment. Also, something pretty obvious, doing my laundry whenever the fuck I feel like it and not having to pay for it. That's been really nice. Not having to make 4 or 5 trips all the way to the basement. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was blessed to have laundry in the basement and not across the street. So I did have that, but still the back and forth and back and forth. And you can't really do much while you're waiting for your laundry, because you have to wait around for it. You have to go get it immediately. Here, I can just throw it in, do whatever I need to do, take it out, bada bing, bada boom. So blessed, so happy to have laundry in my unit again. It's so nice. Something I feel like most people don't really care about is just getting to drive again. I really like driving, and for some reason it causes me less anxiety to drive somewhere than to have to walk there. Even if the walk was only 3 to 5 minutes, I would get really anxious about having to go outside and see so many people and walk past so many people, and being able to just get in the car and drive to my destination has taken off a lot of pressure on my heart. Simple, but very, very happy about it. And also, along with that, is shopping in places where it isn't fucking packed, bro. Like, living in a less dense populated area is enough to let you breathe a little. Oh my gosh, actually being able to walk through the grocery store and feel like I can take my time. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel like I'm in anybody's way. I can just take my goddamn time. And it's lovely. Just something really small that I'm grateful for, that I have confidence is contributing to my healing, to my getting better. There's a run club down here that some of my friends go to, because I already have a few friends. Isn't that nice? Another thing to be grateful for. And the day that I went, we ran through a tunnel, and as we were running through the tunnel, the sun was rising in such a way that it was shining so brilliantly through and at the end of the tunnel that I felt bliss. I felt, again, for the first time, pure and secure, supreme, sublime, absolutely aligned. And I just felt a peace that the joy is coming. And when I was writing this down to speak about, I literally realized that it's the light at the end of the tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I saw it and I felt the hope that it brings. Can't believe I didn't realize it in the moment that was what was happening. But I guess it provided just another magic moment for me to realize it later. Because actually, I don't think there's anything more magical than realizing something. That feeling that you get when something you didn't understand before suddenly becomes clear. Suddenly, your eyes are more open than they've ever been before. How lovely. So, do I regret leaving New York? It's complicated. I feel like it's really complicated. A dream that I have had my whole life seems to have slipped through my fingers. And I'm proud that I went at all, and I'm proud that I did it, and I can always go back. But yeah, I'm disappointed, and I'm a little sad. But again, it's really not worth being there if I feel like I'm falling apart. And maybe if I can figure out someday what I really want and going back feels correct, then I'll do it just like I did before. I am, however, going to go back in hopefully about a month because I left all of my stuff in my old apartment. Shout out to my roomies for letting me do so. I know it's a burden, but I truly felt like I could not be there one day more. I had gone home for Christmas and had to go back to what I thought was to get all of my stuff and also finish out my 2 weeks at work. But then there were all these complications and we couldn't drive back because of a winter storm. So I ended up leaving all of my things. And so now I have to go back and get my stuff. But it'll be good. You know, I've actually been missing New York a little bit these past few days. So I'm actually excited to be there just for a little bit. Maybe say hi to some of my friends. One huge lesson I am learning from all of this is through the consequences of this very hasty decision that I made. Like I said before, the state I was in was not perfect for actually making such a huge life-altering choice, and I did with no preparation. Not enough money, without a new job already, and yeah, with no way to actually get all of my stuff from point A to point B. And, oh, did I mention also no car? So I feel humbled. I feel a little helpless having to share my siblings' cars, having to work a very low-paying job and just figure out my life from the bottom up all over again, and also just dealing with some maybe inconsiderate decisions that I made to get here, right? I don't remember if I talked about this in another episode or not, but something that I learned last year from the saying, there's a will, there's a way, that is completely true. If you are willing, there is a way. However, there is no way if there comes a point where you hit your boundary and there's no willingness anymore. I think people make it sound like you can do anything because if there's a will, there's a way, right? But sometimes you have to be willing to do things that are out of character for you, to find the way. So there was definitely a burning will to get as far away from New York City as possible. And so I did whatever I had to do to get out of there. And the consequences for that are not my favorite. I don't love them. And right, I'm waiting around for a job. I've got to get a car. I'm about to go into debt, trying to get a loan or credit cards or something to be able to get what I need to get to keep living. Yeah, right? I think I would feel a little better if it was just consequences for me, but I left behind a lot of baggage and a lot of shit, like actual physical baggage and shit for other people to deal with. And that makes me sad that I made that choice. But I felt like I felt like I had no choice. Looking back, I just wish there was something I could have done that would have built up enough strength for me to live there just for one more month, because I had actually paid for January rent and I could have stayed a little longer to make some more money and to make a better plan for moving. And want to say I'm dealing with a little bit of chronic hastiness. In lieu of my chronic hastiness, I left with no plan. But you know what? I did it. I did it for the sake of my health, and I feel like that is a pretty important reason. So that's what's going on with me. That's my life. We might get into more of this in the next episode of Magic in the Moment, where my friend Anne-Marie will be making an appearance. So please stay tuned for that. If you stuck around and listened to this or watched this, I thank you. You are an angel to me. I appreciate you so much. Also, thank you to my brother and sister, Austin and Ashley. You guys are the only reason I am surviving at all right now. You guys are taking such good care of me, so thank you. Thank you very much. That's it. So I will catch you next time. Okay, bye-bye.